What is Donald Trump's tactic at this NATO summit?
Well, from what we've seen so far, creating that little bit of chaos and uncertainty, clearly. We're used to this here in Washington, and we're certainly used to this from the US president. Pretty much any time he goes to a major summit abroad, they are very mixed messages from him. Some very aggressive, as you saw this morning in the meeting with the Secretary General of NATO. And then all of a sudden, just a few minutes ago, he defined, as you say, that relationship with Angela Merkel as very, very good. Donald Trump certainly isn't going to be a stabilizing force within this NATO summit. There are quite a few people who think that he's actually there to blow up the summit, to wreak a little bit of havoc and criticize some member countries directly, with criticisms that have been around for a while, of course. The United States and previous administrations have wanted NATO member countries to contribute 2% of their GDP to defense spending for a long time now. But this US president is willing to say so openly, very publicly, and rather aggressively. The surprise, of course, this morning was that mention of Germany being dependent on Russia, being captive of Russia. He got his numbers a little bit wrong. Germany doesn't import quite that much energy from Russia. That is also something that we are used to, but he did bring something up that other member countries are worried about. A new pipeline that will bring large amounts of energy to Germany, for example, and other countries as well. But essentially what we're seeing here from the get-go, from the very first meeting that Donald Trump had in Brussels, is a bit of chaos from the US president, a bit of aggression, what his supporters certainly want to see from him, that direct talk, that lack of fear when talking to even the United States' closest allies and criticizing them face-to-face, or in the case of Angela Merkel, in another meeting, and then face-to-face, putting on a bit of a braver face, if you will.
And Philip, how does this fit into his whole trip abroad that'll wrap up in Helsinki?
Well, that's the really big question here. And there are many experts, certainly former diplomats, members of former administrations, more than anything, who are afraid that these next few days could be really consequential when it comes to US foreign policy. We don't know yet what's going to come out of this NATO summit, what the overall attitude from the US president is going to be. But you know already that a soundbite in which the US president attacks Germany and its chancellor for being captive of Russia, that will stay. There was criticism of Russia, of course, also in there. But the fear from former diplomats, from experts, is this one, that he will be aggressive toward NATO member countries, towards some of the closest allies of the United States, and then might go to Helsinki, where, of course, he's going to meet Vladimir Putin of Russia and be more friendly with him than he was with his allies in Brussels. We'll have to wait and see whether that is really the case. Donald Trump, before leaving the White House here in Washington, actually said that he believes the meeting with Vladimir Putin in Helsinki could be the easiest of them all. He included in that, of course, all of the meetings at NATO, the bilateral meetings that he had with Angela Merkel, that he's about to have with the French president as well. And of course, he's also traveling to the United Kingdom, where he'll be with the Prime Minister Theresa May and the Queen. He believes that maybe the meeting with Vladimir Putin will be the easiest. The worry, of course, here in the United States and from US allies is that this is a relationship that is that little bit too friendly between the US president and the Russian president, with the context, of course, being Russian meddling in the US presidential election that got Donald Trump elected in the first place.
Thank you very much indeed, Philip.